హలో హాయ్ నమస్తే, వెల్కమ్ టు మై ఛానల్ ఫంటాస్టిక్ థింగ్స్. నా పేరు అఖిల. నేను వ్లాగ్స్, ట్రావెల్ వీడియోస్, కుకింగ్, ఆర్ట్స్ అండ్ క్రాఫ్ట్స్ ఇంకా చాలా వీడియోస్ చేస్తాను. ఒకసారి చెక్అవుట్ చేయండి. మీకు కనుక నచ్చితే సబ్స్క్రైబ్ చేసుకోండి. ఆల్రెడీ సబ్స్క్రైబ్ చేసుకున్న వాళ్ళందరికీ థ్యాంక్ యూ సో మచ్. యునైటెడ్ స్టేట్స్లోనే మోస్ట్ పాపులర్ సిటీస్లో షికాగో థర్డ్ ప్లేస్లో ఉంటుంది ఆఫ్టర్ న్యూయార్క్ అండ్ లాస్ ఏంజల్స్ తర్వాత. ఇది ఇల్లినాయ్స్ స్టేట్లో ఉంది. షికాగో అంటే ఫస్ట్ గుర్తొచ్చేది చికాగో ఇంటర్నేషనల్ ఎయిర్పోర్ట్. వరల్డ్లోనే వన్ ఆఫ్ ద బిజియెస్ట్ ఎయిర్పోర్ట్ ఈ సిటీలో ఉంది. డైలీ మోర్ దెన్ 2600 ఫ్లైట్స్ ఆపరేట్ అవుతూ ఉంటాయి ఇక్కడ నుండి. నెక్స్ట్ గుర్తొచ్చేది బ్యూటిఫుల్ డౌన్ టౌన్ సిటీ. ఎటు చూసినా ఎత్తైన బిల్డింగ్స్, బ్యూటిఫుల్ ఆర్కిటెక్చర్స్ అండ్ మధ్యలో నుండి రివర్ ఫ్లో. ఇండియన్స్కి షికాగో అనగానే గుర్తొచ్చేది 1893లో స్వామి వివేకానంద గారు ఇచ్చిన స్పీచ్. సో ఇప్పుడు ఈ వీడియోలో మనం షికాగో సిటీ మధ్యలో ఉండే రివర్ బోట్ టూర్ ఎలా ఉంటుందో చూద్దాం. ఈ టూర్లో మనకి రివర్ సైడ్ ఉండే వండర్ఫుల్ బిల్డింగ్స్ అండ్ వాటి ఆర్కిటెక్చర్ గురించి గైడ్ ఎక్స్ప్లెయిన్ చేస్తూ ఉంటారు. సో మీరు కూడా చూసి ఎంజాయ్ చేయండి. నైట్ వ్యూ కూడా చాలా బాగుంటుంది.
How you guys all doing? Keeping inside the planet? Back there, welcome to you. I saw that little hand go, she's like, don't admit it. So, last question. Who here has done a boat tour in Chicago before? Raise your hands. Okay, this one's going to be better. Who here has never done a boat tour in Chicago? This one's going to set this. If you see a lot of unnecessary external ornamentation on a building, it's probably a little bit older for us, anywhere from the 1870s through the 1920s. Let me give you guys an example of that. Out on the right, there's a low off-white colored building with ionic columns lining the top. You guys all see that? Those ionic columns are totally unnecessary. Not like they would be supporting weight in a real temple. That's frosting on the cake. That half of that building is from the 1920s. Then architects decide they're going to kind of start getting weird. Strip away some frosting. Less frosting until you get to just the cake. Just the cake is called modernism. It is super easy to recognize. You ready? Here we go. Tallest black box you can see in front of you, or the brown box behind it, or the brown box across from it, the white box across from that. Over to the right, there's a black box. There's a black box. There's a red box. Red box. But it's still a box. Okay, that is just the cake. That's called modernism. It is super easy to recognize, okay? And modernism, having just the cake, is really great.
షికాగో సిటీలో 55 వరకు మూవబుల్ బ్రిడ్జెస్ ఉన్నాయంట. మనం అప్పుడప్పుడు మూవీస్లో చూస్తాం కదా, పెద్ద పెద్ద షిప్స్ వచ్చినప్పుడు పైకి లిఫ్ట్ చేస్తారు, అలాంటివి. అందులో ఒక ఇంట్రెస్టింగ్ బ్రిడ్జ్ వీడియో ఎండ్లో చూపిస్తాను, తప్పకుండా చూడండి. డోంట్ స్కిప్ ఇట్. ఆ బ్రిడ్జ్కి ఒక స్పెషాలిటీ ఉంది, అదేంటో వీడియో ఎండ్లో చూడండి.
17 years later in 1990 comes a second born daughter. Some of us understand what that's like. How that end at different heights bundled together. That's why the whole thing is called the bundled tube construction. Now, you're going to get the view of all 110 stories of the Sears Tower in one fell swoop, exactly twice on this tour. Once on the way out and once on the way back. So the first time is coming up right now, in between these buildings where the trees are sticking out. Get your cameras and your oohs and ahs out and on the ready. Skyscrapers in the mist.
షికాగో సిటీని 2 times బిల్డ్ చేశారు. ఆ స్టోరీ తెలుసుకోవాలంటే ముందు షికాగో హిస్టరీలోనే గుర్తుండిపోయే గ్రేట్ షికాగో ఫైర్ గురించి తెలుసుకోవాలి. 1871 అక్టోబర్లో ఎలా స్టార్ట్ అయిందో తెలియదు, కానీ ఒక చిన్న ఫైర్గా స్టార్ట్ అయి మొత్తం షికాగో సిటీ తగలపడిపోయిందంట. అప్పట్లో అన్ని వుడెన్ హౌసెస్ ఉండడం వల్ల ఫైర్ని కంట్రోల్ చేయడం చాలా కష్టమైపోయింది. సో అలా 3 days కంటిన్యూయస్గా ఫైర్ ఉండడం వల్ల ఇప్పుడు డౌన్ టౌన్ సిటీ ఉన్న ఏరియా మొత్తం బర్న్ అయిపోయి మోర్ దెన్ 1 lakh people హోమ్లెస్ అయ్యారు అండ్ 300 వరకు చనిపోయారు. సో ఆ తర్వాత మళ్ళీ సిటీని బిల్డ్ చేసినప్పుడు ఇంకా మంచి మల్టీ స్టోరీ బిల్డింగ్స్ బిల్డ్ చేయడం స్టార్ట్ చేశారు. అలా 2 times బిల్డ్ చేసిన సిటీగా షికాగోని పిలుస్తారు. ఈ స్టోరీ అంతా మాకు గైడ్ ఎక్స్ప్లెయిన్ చేశారు.
Vantage point that we have right now to look underneath the buildings on your left. the way, a little aside, this
ఇక్కడ వీడియోలో కనిపిస్తుంది ట్రైన్. ఇలా బిల్డింగ్స్ మధ్యలో నుండి ట్రైన్స్ కూడా వెళ్తూ ఉంటాయి.
called air rights. Now how that works is you might be the railroad company, you buy the land, you build your train tracks on the land that you own. Well, what are you going to do with all that in the air that I own over your train tracks? That's the idea of air rights. Now usually there's enough room among those train tracks underneath a building to run the caissons and the piles down into the ground to support it from underneath. Those are like gigantic stilts anchoring the building into the ground. Sometimes though, there's just too many train tracks that are crossing underneath, so they actually have to figure out some other way to hold up the building's weight if they can't do it totally from underneath. That's how I want you guys to be thinking about the next building I'm going to tell you about coming up on the left. This one that says Boeing down at the bottom, it has this beautiful system of steel trusses up on top. And by the way, no, I'm not skipping these to the left and the right. We're going to get to these on the way back. I'm planting knowledge seeds and we are going to harvest them at the end of the tour. Trust the process. And well, it's a postmodern office building. Or I could say, why is it shaped this way though? Everything has a reason for looking the way that it looks. Why is the Boeing headquarters building a postmodern building? Why is it shaped this way? Well, first of all, it's having fun with architecture. I'm going to tell you guys how this one is having fun on the way back. That's a little cliffhanger to keep you engaged. But look at how it's shaped. It's like a tower with a short chunk sticking out towards us. It has to do with those train tracks underneath. There's enough room under the tower part to run the caissons and the piles into the ground, but then the shorter part, there's just too many train tracks underneath. So they actually had to cantilever it off of the taller part. Now what does that mean? Cantilevering or cantilevering. Think of it like this. The tower is like your body. The short part is like a bag of groceries that you're holding out in front of your body. So where does the support for the bag come from? It's not under the bag. It's coming. I'm 5'9". I'm going to clear this, okay? But just to look cool, I'm not even going to look. So we just came out of the south branch of the Chicago River. We're going to turn on to the main branch or main stem. After that, we're going to go check out the north branch. Then we're going to turn around, go right back down the south branch. So anything I seem to be missing back in time to 1837, right over there at that exact spot. Not only would you be looking at Chicago's very first post office, you would also be looking at Chicago's very first hotel, the Sauganash Hotel. And that meant they decided that 4,000 people population is big enough to legally call ourselves a city. So that is Chicago's official birthday in the early March of 1837, which by the way would make Chicago a Pisces. If you pay a little bit more attention to that frosting on the cake, it'll tell you a little bit more about the cake itself. So that was designed by Graham Anderson, Probst, and White. You're going to hear that name a few times today. Those heads out front are called the Merchandise Mart Hall of Fame. People like Aaron Montgomery Ward, Marshall Field represent you. Exactly. Oh no, wait for the question. Wait for the question, sir. The building is so large that it used to have its own zip code, 60654. In fact, that building is so large that the couriers used to use roller skates to get around from one end to another to deliver the mail. Isn't that cool? You know, like the 1930s, all these like perfectly coiffed girls roller skating down the hallways of an Art Deco building to drop off mail. Wouldn't that be cool listening to the old warehouse from 1913? This is the old Green Murdoch warehouse. Nowadays, offices and some restaurants down at the bottom. Designed by George C. Nimmons. Now take a close look at it. It's actually asymmetrical, which is a secret that most Chicagoans know nothing about. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bays of windows to the left of the clock tower. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bays of windows to the right. Now, originally in 1913 when it was built, so the idea that this architect, Bertrand Goldberg, had, he saw people leaving Chicago to go and live in the suburbs. He wanted to bring people back into the city because when suburban life happens, when a city bleeds people, eventually they might die. So he wanted to bring people back into the city, made city living much more palatable and welcoming by bringing all your amenities right to your doorstep with a city within a city. Or as we say in English, Ludwig mies van der Rohe. He is so famous for that style, you can even call a big black box like that a very Miesian building after him. Architectural terms, here you go. It's got balustrades, it's got garlands, it's got finials, it's got urns, it's got medallions, it's got an entire colonnade of Corinthian columns on the front of it with a tempietto sitting on top of the whole thing. All that architectural terminology is frosting, frosting, frosting on the cake, so that tells you it's older. That one is an old office building from 1923 that is nowadays the London House Hotel. Back over on the left. On the left, right behind the Apple Store, the building that has the racing vertical lines capped in beautiful flying buttresses and Gothic tracery. Tracery is the name for all that stony kind of lacework up there. Now that is called the Tribune Tower. It's an old newspaper headquarters built in 1925, designed by a couple of guys from New York. You too, Why does that building from 1989 have flying buttresses? Well, it's because that's frosting being added back onto the cake to have fun with architecture by referring to the Tribune Tower that had flying buttresses. It's like they're all talking to each other. And then you come on a tour like this, you can finally make sense of the conversation, right? Now, question for you, tower that's in New York City, Rockefeller Center. That's an actual Art Deco building from around 1930, so you would call that one for fun. So I'm going to save those for now. So darn dignified. By the way, you do that by yourself, you're weird. If you do it in a group, you're fun. So I like to think about these buildings all along the left, kind of like if I wasn't here to give you the exact Haley, Helen, I'd be like, it's Hillary, 2 L's. So people would say, Hillary, how is it possible that in the third largest city in the United States of America, neon Kelly green, it's a non-toxic food coloring that starts out as an orange powder, and then once it hits water, turns this bright neon Kelly green, stays within the main branch and dissipates after about 5 days. This green is year-round, all natural green. Because once you're out in the main, see like a huge hand just come down and be like, you're right, Hillary. That's God's voice. Wasn't that awesome? Life's about the pitch, guys. Life's about the pitch. So officially with my favorite opening shot of Chicago, welcome everyone to Chicago. Now, we've already talked a little bit about the third tallest building in Chicago. It is also the first tallest building in the world. The building with the wavy balconies is another mixed-use building from Studio Gang, finished in 2010. Do you guys have a designated bubble guy? Highly recommend you guys don't want to boat tour be the end of your exploration of a city. It's gonna sound cheesy, but like get out on foot. That's why I started white. It's like a big Beaux-Arts style cake with Spanish revival. His name is Pierre Arnaud. They hired him to come in and do the lighting for that building. So what he did was he put 540 little lamps all around the outside of that building. You can't even really see warehouses that are now condos. We're gonna start out with one of those. The building that is the clock. Just down to the right and the left of the clock, you can make out faint reliefs of ancient scribes hammering out the news of their day. So even though that nice paper's in the list, okay, so I'll give you guys a heads up about that. The third reason,
అన్ని బ్రిడ్జెస్ మధ్యలో నుండి ఓపెన్ అవుతాయి, బట్ ఇది వర్టికల్ లిఫ్ట్ బ్రిడ్జ్. ఎమర్జెన్సీ కేసెస్లో ఇది లిఫ్ట్ చేయడానికి జస్ట్ 45 సెకండ్స్ పడుతుందంట. ప్రజెంట్ ఇది ఎక్కువగా యూజ్ చేయట్లేదంట. ఇక్కడ నుండి డౌన్ టౌన్ వ్యూ చాలా బాగుంది కదా. అండ్ హోప్ యూ లైక్ దిస్ వీడియో. ప్లీజ్ షేర్ యువర్ ఫీడ్బ్యాక్ ఇన్ ద కమెంట్స్. థ్యాంక్ యూ సో మచ్. బాయ్.